So I would like to tell you a true story about the day my son was born, or as I like to think of it, the day I made a Canadian. It was a lot easier than you think. There's just a little bit of maple syrup, a lot of beer. And then 9 months later, my son was born. My son was born, it was a C-section, a planned C-section, which was a process I knew nothing about, and I'm not going to give you any gory details, so please don't worry. Basically, my wife and I, we walked to the hospital, which happens to be near our house, and she was whisked away to an operating theatre, and I was sent to a corridor where she was, with huge needles, paralyzed and numbed from the chest down. By her head is an anaesthetist. On the other side of the curtain are all the real doctors. I think you know the lesson I learned straight away. Don't use the term real doctors while the anaesthetist is listening. And I was basically sent in, and I had to sit by my wife's head on a stool, which I'm just going to mention now was a very uncomfortable stool. I didn't say anything at the time. It occurred to me, I've got nothing to do. There's no reason why it can't be an armchair, except... and I would get it myself. I'm not like, put the knife down, I'll get a chair. Anyway, so I was like, all right, I want to know what time my son is going to be born. But there were no clocks in the operating theatre. I made the mistake of looking at the anaesthetist's watch. Now, most people, when they see you looking at their watch, they go, aha! You want to know what time it is. And they might leave the watch there, or they might tell you the time. This guy somehow went, wow, you're looking at my watch, and the only reason I can think of that someone would look at another person's watch is that you want to know a detailed history of my ownership of this timepiece. About it in 1958. You know, I was a young man then, if I may say young, and it was in Switzerland. And, of course, that was called Switzerland back then. It was called... And a part of me, I was thinking, wow, I can totally see why you ended up in a job where you put people to sleep for a living. And I wanted to go, I'm really sorry, I'd love to know, but miracle of life happening. But I didn't want him to go, oh, you don't want to know about my watch? Well, then maybe your wife doesn't want to be quite so uninvolved in what's happening. At this point, we didn't know we were having a boy. We hoped we were having a boy because we knew he had a penis. It seemed likely his life would be easier that way. So basically, I stood up, and there was my son, and this was the first time I'd ever seen him, and they gave him a wipe, they cut the thing, and then they handed him to me, and I ripped open my gown and placed him on my bare chest. I should mention, I had been told to do this. This was not... everyone's like, is that a British thing? It isn't. Physical contact, not a British thing. Anyway... Studies have shown that a newborn baby, it's very good for them if immediately they get skin-to-skin contact. And when I heard about that, I was like, right. And they're like, no, just the shirt. So I held my son on my chest, and I've got to admit it was like the best minute of my life, as I'm the first person who has ever held my son in this way. And now, I've had a lot of jobs for which I have been utterly unqualified. But I've never had a job I've been so unqualified for as being a father. And yet I really want to do it well, and I've been really worried about it. So I had in this 1 minute where all I'm doing is holding him, simply by holding, not dropping. And as long as I continue to have skin, I know I'm giving him everything he needs. And so far, I haven't done anything wrong as a father. And it was quite possibly the best minute of my life. It ended when something I didn't expect happened. My baby starts crawling towards one of my nipples. And that was basically the last time I knew what to do as a father. Because I was like, and I'm thinking, this was not in any of the books. Nowhere did this come up. If I had even thought to ask the question in prenatal class, I suspect I would have been thrown out immediately. And, I want to ask someone, because usually that's what I do. There's usually tons of people around me who know better. My wife has closed her eyes. I'm like, I think maybe now is not the time to go, I don't know what to do. All the people on the other side of the curtain are busy. I don't want to ask the anaesthetist, because he'll be like, the word nipple comes from the Greek word Nipopolis. And it's thought to have magical power. So, I'm going to tell you, I didn't. That was the point I learned, that fatherhood is all about tough choices, and I made the tough decision that my son's first experience in life would not teach him that life is just like sucking on a dry, hairy nipple. Even though, let's be honest, sometimes it is. Well, thank you very much, and good night.